Sometimes you have to remember yourself in the middle of all the madness that wanders around you. All you can really do is make decisions based off of what you are, what you believe, and a little bit about how you feel. But as a general rule, no one else cares how you feel. Keep that in mind. What are the humans doing?
Do you think you're ready? Can you handle the truth? Or are you in denial and demanding more proof? They demonstrate in real time how they're spinning your lies, but no one pays attention, no one opens their eyes. They walk around like zombies with their head in the mobiles, signaling their virtues with a pick on their profile. Yeah. Signaling their virtues with a pick on their profile. So if you think you're ready, you don't need more proof. Conspiracy deniers are denying the truth. They fabricate our problems and pretend to provide the best solution, but we all know they lied. They lied about the weapons and they lied about health. They lied about the fact that they're transferring the wealth. You should really notice how they're pushing the fear. Keep everybody terrified and not thinking clear. Yeah. Everybody's not thinking clear. Keep everybody terrified. Yeah, thinking and not thinking. Keep everybody terrified and not thinking clear. When you do, you realize that this is their trick. It's getting really stupid now, they're taking the mic. Said, do you think you're ready? Can you handle the truth? Or are you in denial and demanding more proof? They demonstrate in real time how they're spinning you lies, but no one pays attention, no one opens their eyes. They walk around like zombies with their head in the mobiles, signaling their virtues with a pick on their profile. Yeah. Signaling their virtues on their profile. Hey.
Oh, Sasquatch? Oh, yeah, he's like the Sandy Waxler of YouTube's.
Next time he'll get his own ketchup.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sasquatch Shills for Sasquatch Shills, so you don't have to. Why won't it let me turn that off whenever I'm in there? That is crazy. All right, we're going to leave it at that. I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to bring the man with the master plan up. What is up, my brother?
How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Actually, your channel was requested, and for the world of me, I can't find the email that they sent. I don't know if it was. Well, I don't want to start spitting out names and being wrong, you know.
Mandatory carry dates.
Oh yeah, that would be the one. Yes, sir. I guarantee. Yeah, yeah. I'll be amazed if he doesn't show up just to troll me, because you know. All right. So I'm going to bring you up on big screen. Give everybody the big who-do about what you do.
So Tacos and Jihad, we're on Rumble, exclusively on Rumble, because YouTube just won't have us. We won't survive there. We're an anti-communist show. We talk about current events. We have two separate shows right now under the same kind of umbrella on Rumble, but we do current events and news. We give commentary. The other show is just we go through not leftist, but just memes from the day, current event memes. The internet always provides, and it's Clarissa and I just go through memes and videos and just kind of make fun of it, because ridicule has a lot of power, and the left has ridiculed everybody else for years, and that's where they've gotten. That's how they've gotten where they've gotten, how they've gotten the power that they have. And we feel that we just try to give them a dose of their own medicine the best we can.
Fantastic. Am I causing an echo? No. I think, no, that's in my phone. My bad. Welcome to Sasquatch Shills, where the technical issues are part of the show. All right, so we're going to start this up over here behind you. It's going to play muted for a little while. And when you're talking anti-communist, do you consider general socialism or that is that communism light by chance?
Yeah, socialism is kind of the bridge to communism. It's the way they sell it to get everybody to buy into it, at least in my opinion.
Right. Oh, dude, this is about your content. It's your opinion that actually matters. So I'm not going to be interjecting myself into what your content is supposed to be. Without you explaining it, no one would know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it, and I'm not even joking. Dead serious. I've interviewed Bigfoot hunters, actual goblins, I repeat this, actual goblins, and the weirdest one, and I've interviewed a goblin, but the weirdest one was a Native American Black Hebrew Israelite.
I watched that one.
That was difficult.
I watched it. It seemed like there were some moments there where there was some frustration, maybe.
Yeah, no, he came in with opinions, and I don't have a problem with opinions, and that seemed to be a problem with him. So,
yeah,
you know, we got some folks in here. Although I'm a bit curious about some stuff. Okay, yeah. All right, I got other links popping in too. All right, that's cool. We're going to roll back through chat, see who got here first. Let's see. There's currently an argument going down between the Smoking Auditor and the Grim Reaper the Grim Reaper Network about who got here first. But on my little thing here, it says it's the Smoking Auditor. So the Smoking Auditor gets the gold. Grim Reaper Radio, damn it, he changed his name. The Grim Reaper Network gets the silver, and Mama Gnome gets the bronze. Welcome in. Now we do have one participation trophy floating around, and it usually goes to the person with the trolliest name, which so far is Dangerous Witch. We'll see how that pans out over the length of the show. This feels wrong. I feel far too big. Let me fix that. I don't like that. I feel like I'm dominating the whole thing here. Yeah, there we go. Now we can be the same size. Okay, so socialism's communism light. It's the palatable tincture they give you the bad medicine with to try to shove it down, right?
Right, absolutely.
So the issue I've always had with the concept of basically anything that's not a part of the American experiment is that there is no protections for your individual human rights.
Mm-hmm.
They say there is, but the very second they get the power to take them, they do. In every case in history, always.
Yeah, it's the and they'll always say that real communism has never been tried, and the reason for that is because it's humanly impossible. You take into matters about distribution of resources and things like they never take into the fact that the state has to distribute the resources. So there's always going to be a state. There's always going to be a totalitarian, like a authoritarian, if you want to call it that, apparatus of the state that is disseminating the resources, the rations, everything else to the people. And when whoever that may be, whoever is the leader of that, realizes, because it's human nature to want to rule when you have the ability to. I can't remember who said it, but power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. They all become, yeah, they become gods, so to speak, and they exercise their godlike power however they want, and then you end up having people, groups like the Cheka going around and executing people wantonly for arbitrary reasons that they say are just counter-revolutionary. Well, who defines what counter-revolutionary is? It's pretty wide.
It can be. I mean, there are cases, especially when you get towards the tail end of the early part of the 20th century, the late part of the 19th century, there was a huge number of flavors of fascism, socialism, communism, Bolshevism. There's the entire balkanization of that whole area created all these different flavors. Here's my dead giveaway on why communism under any flag simply will not function. Because you can't put 10 communists in a room and have them agree on anything except overthrowing the elites. That's it. That's the only thing they will agree on, war, and that is it.
And they will never, they'll say they have principles, or they will claim principles so that so that the commoner will kind of lean over towards them and try to trust them and what have you. But when push comes to shove, they'll sacrifice their principles just the same way they'll sacrifice a commoner for being counter-revolutionary for taking 5 extra potatoes for his family.
Right. They'll call that actual like sedition and stuff, and crimes against the state, which becomes crimes against humanity.
Right.
All right. So there's a question in chat over here. It's like, it's been tried many times, even in ancient history. That's not exactly a question. The only case where I can point at something that resembles a fascist, and it is not a fascist communist state, but resembles it, was Sparta.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a bald, bare meritocracy. So doesn't quite fit the mold, but they did have a lot of communal values in there. But you had to be a Spartan first for it to matter. So
yeah, there was Sparta specifically, like that whole era, that's like when we were coming out of the Dark Ages, you know what I mean? We're like the real Dark Ages, but we're finally getting a sense of how to govern states and how to govern ourselves as agglomerations of people. And there were some trials and errors involved in Sparta. They had that whole the service thing. It kind of leans into fascism a little bit, or maybe what fascism would have become, but it also is kind of like the birth of the republic kind of thing. It's the birth of being able to have multiple people instead of one god king, control everybody and dictate how everyone's going to live. There was a parliament, so to not maybe a parliament, but whatever they would have called it. There's a group of people, a quorum of people where debate was had, albeit corrupt, but it still existed.
Right. All right. So, kind of moving up through the ages, the next time you encounter something that resembles a communist state that may have functioned for a time, I think you end up in Assyria. Would be your next swing at it. Is some of the satraps that Alexander the Great left behind. Some of them functioned on sort of communal concepts because they were basically army divisions that were just waiting patiently for the orders to move out. So it became a communal sort of system.
I will admit that my world history isn't. I mainly have focused the past 10 years of my life on kind of like contemporary.
Okay, so start with
the past 300 years kind of thing, the French Revolution on upward and everything. But I do have a love for all history. I'm just not as well versed in the thousands of years ago kind of thing, which I admit that I should be. It's the next step, Right now I've been studying a lot of the Russian Revolution lately, and it's if you ever want to know what's going on right now, just look at the Russian Revolution.
Well, they've kind of cycled a few times through. Like, one of the weirdest Russian periods to me was always that Glasnost period. Mm-hmm. Because while a whole lot of information came out from under wraps, what didn't was almost more telling, right? We got lists of people who were collected from places for reasons that were not listed. We've got mass graves in places where we know there were more people, but now there are no people. There's lots of that kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really smack well for me that every time you have one of these communist revolutions, you end up with mass graves and starvation. That seems to be a direct route to how to kill off population.
I mean, you go to any of the ones in recent history, Cambodia, Russia, China, even China today. God knows what's happening over there today. Truly, I mean, North Korea, kind of an offshoot of China, but we have no idea how many people are actually imprisoned right now or have died in the past, 10 years in China. But I guarantee you, it's in the millions. That have been executed to one degree or another.
Definitely. Because I mean, you can look into the just the Maoist Cultural Revolution
Yeah.
in China, and you'll break a few million there, I'm certain. And I mean,
Wow.
just unregistered deaths.
You're talking between 40 million and 100 million, and the fact that that's the gap, that the gap is 60 million people, tells you that there's something else going on here. This is just not meant for humanity. It's not something that is achievable, and if it is achievable, it is the cost in blood is just simply not worth it. It would only work in heaven, you know, with a divine entity ruling over everything.
Right. You'd have to have a perfect leader. Hence
Yeah.
the reason why every single one of these dictatorships devolves down to leader worship.
Exactly.
It becomes a cult of personality. But I'm skipping ahead of the idea here. One of the issues, whatever type of flavor of communism you're going for, one of the issues is some of the establishing premises were developed not from the observation of human nature or the functioning of governments or the way people interact in crowds or cities or in stress or anything like that. It was through the observation of ants and bees. And this is, in my opinion, is the critical flaw with both communism and socialism. It does not take humanity into consideration.
Yeah, the entire human condition is totally eschewed for instinct, and that everyone's always going to have the issue or have the concern of their neighbor as their number one thing. But the cold hard fact of the matter is that a lot of people don't give a shit about you. They only care about how they're going to put food on their plate or how they're going to get to their next earthly desire, and eventually it all falls apart because of that, which was what I was kind of getting to earlier, and I got sidetracked by the distribution thing. But there's a part of man and humanity that doesn't exist in the animal kingdom, and it's the desire for power. It's the desire for pleasure, constant pleasure. I just watched a documentary called Painkiller on Netflix, and there's a very good point in there. It's like,
I love that one. It's
it was
good.
great. But you run from pain and you run towards pleasure. That's the cycle of humanity.
To an extent, the concept of delayed gratification isn't well understood in the junkie community, so we generally didn't really think that far into it.
Yeah.
In my case, it was broken pelvis and an awful lot of drugs, and then, oh, by the way, those things are addictive. You shouldn't take them no more.
Yeah. Broken pelvis. I had a broken
yeah, bud. That ship has sailed. What are we going to do about it? Oh, nothing. Just go home. You'll be fine.
Yeah, right. Just figure it out.
I did. Did that too. I figured it out, and, it led me down a rabbit hole that I cover on a recovery stream occasionally because it's painful. I can't do that every week. You know, it hurts my soul to get into that stuff. But when I say that communism is based off of the insect world, I'm dead serious. You can draw direct correlations between every step between and it's kind of hard to say the word capitalist with a straight face, although I'm a consummate capitalist. I figure the most American thing you can do is sell out. Just don't do it cheap.
Yeah.
Make sure it's worth it. That being said, that's something insects can't do. It's beyond the animal kingdom to plot nefariously for the greater good. That is absurd. That whole idea is a strictly human concept. The idea that I can hurt them so that you have a better chance of being equal to them. But it doesn't work because whether you're predisposed to violence or you're predisposed to the tendency of to like rob, steal, cheat, be corrupt in general, whether you're in a position of power or you're in a position of destitute loneliness out in the streets, you're still going to do that hustle. That's just the nature of people. Like alcoholics, 20% of the population.
Well, and you talk about bees and ants. It's like you look at a hive or an ant colony. It's every individual knows their role, knows what their job is, knows exactly what they're supposed to do. There's no thought process into it, no thinking, no deciding whether or not they want to be lazy today. They don't have that part. They don't have that part of the brain, right? Or what that part of the circuit board doesn't exist.
Yeah,
and that's why it's able to work so well. And you look at the average like commoner that wants communism, they look at that and they don't think past. There's no second order of thinking. There's no thought about like, well, it's like they think that ants and bees have like an inner monologue. You know what I mean? Like where they actually decide they want to go to work today. And that doesn't exist. That's not a thing that happens. It's instinct. You know, it's eat, sleep, reproduce.
Do you hear the one about where they developed they figured out how to synthesize the chemical created by an ant when they die?
No.
And then they took an ant and dripped some of it on him and put him back in the nest. And he spent the rest of his living days being carried to the graveyard and dumped in.
I did not hear about that.
Like they would throw him in, he would climb out, climb back up to the top, and go into the nest. And as soon as he got in the nest, the very first worker he come across would give him a sniff, grab him, pick him up, and they would wrestle him all the way back to the dump ground.
Well, yeah, and that backs up that point is because they smell that, you know, if you want to call it a pheromone or chemical, they smell that.
It's
they
directly
smell it on the newly deceased, and they immediately go into that mode. There's no thought about it. There's no conversation or debate. It's just, this guy's dead. We got to get him out of here, you know?
Yeah, no, Dangerous Witch says the commies don't have an inner monologue themselves. And this is where the left can't meme, for one thing.
God, they cannot meme.
The reason is, and I've been thinking about this for a long time. There is a distinct discognitive dissociation. I think I might have said that wrong. Hold on. Try that again. A distinct cognitive dissociation between laughing at something and making someone else laugh at something.
Right.
First of all, laughter is an involuntary response. You don't actually have control over it. If someone does something that you truly think is funny, I don't care if you're at a funeral or at a wedding, you are going to laugh. And if it's funny enough, you will belly laugh. And that goes for the judge, the jury, and the executioner. So when you have these like late night hosts trying to get together and put together a show that's supposed to be funny, and each one of them has 70 writers, and it's still meh.
They're just delivery guys. They're writers, you know.
It's because since and I'm using the left as a very broad brush here.
Yeah.
It just has to do with a central tenet of concept. Once you go to the left side of that liberal spectrum, a little bit further than fence sitter, there's this idea that to laugh at something is to belittle it. And if you're belittling it, you're not respecting it. And if you're not and that's not funny, right? So you shouldn't laugh at that. And so there's this deconstruction of humor inside them. And so they immediately tamp it down the second they feel that involuntary emotional response that wasn't brought to them by their handlers. They immediately try to tamp it down. But if you're funny enough, they can't do it. And that ruins them. They cannot laugh at themselves, because if they laugh at themselves, they see the cognitive dissonance. They realize they're absolutely stark raving batshit crazy, and then they can't say it with a straight face anymore.
That is a perfect point. There's no self-deprecating ability on the broad left, you know. And I know you say the left is a broad thing, and it is a broad thing because now the Overton window has shifted so far that basically everything's left and everything not left is far right. And
I've been thinking on that.
But their memes are their walls of text, you know.
1 second. You said the Overton window shifted. I'm not 100% certain that's accurate, because I think what actually happened is they included the world instead of just the United States. For 50 years, it was a U.S. thing. People in U.S. news, you would hear about the Overton window and how it had moved a little bit. And then in the last 5 years, it went from being a largely nation-based concept to a global concept. And suddenly the Overton window shifted light speed to the left. Well, we're the most conservative country on the planet, and most conservatives do not vote.
I think that's changing though, but I think it's too late. I don't think it matters anymore. Honestly, that's my black pill assessment, which I don't try to have too often, because I mean, what's the alternative, you know? But I do think there's and once I got in this whole podcast game, this whole watching other people's podcasts and interacting with everything and stuff, which was really the beginning of COVID, is when I started doing it. But there's such
I hear that a whole lot.
Yeah, so many people have got activated, I think. And that's what the left is so good at. Like the communists are so good at organizing, and like we totally lacked that ability. And now that you have these different groups, if you call them Group A, B, C, it doesn't, whatever, the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, whatever. It's
Right.
they're getting out there and doing the same outreach that once was laughed at, that was ridiculed on the right. Because why would you do that? It's go to work, feed your family. You don't need to be out in the streets doing this. What kind of father goes to rallies and protests and meets other people instead of feeding his kids and spending time with his kids? Well, you're not going to have that. You're not going to have that family structure unless you do that. And that's really gotten to a lot of people, I think. So there is a lot of, I mean, Trump got 75 million votes. I'm not saying Trump's the guy that's going to come save everything, but 75 million votes in a I think, it's YouTube, so I don't know if I can speak upon election stuff, but I think we all see where I'm going. And there's a lot of people out there that really care about America. And what you're saying about the Overton window being global, that's a good point. That's not a point I really thought about, but it still works into the ideology that has infected this country, because the communists have infiltrated. You got the red diaper babies and then their communist parents before them. And they have infiltrated all the institutions to instill this global perspective where it's like, you can't care about America. And if you care about America, you're a racist, you're a far right nationalist. But that works to shift. Maybe it doesn't even work to shift the Overton window. It works to widen it on one side, the left. And so everything that's like right of George Bush is now far right extremism, where everything left of Stalin.
Jeez, man, that makes my heart hurt. Oh my God, I ain't even thought about it that way, but you're not wrong. But anything that's not an above board, on the bar neocon is a fundamentalist of some sort. Like,
if you were to put the center where the center is now, Bill Clinton's on the right. And it's kind of
no. My point, I make this point often. A lot of people don't like to hear it. First of all, I don't like Donald Trump as a person. I think he's probably an asshole. He might be a good dude person to person. I don't know, but I know that when he's in public, he's a bit of an asshole. I have no reason to believe that he wouldn't be a bit more of an asshole in private, right? I mean, like, wonk. So as a person, I'm not like wanting to go out and drink beers with this man. Mm-hmm. But and when he was running initially, I looked at it and went, holy shit, they have a blue dog Democrat, New York billionaire Democrat over here running for the presidency, and he's going to win. And he's running as a Republican, which is absolutely absurd. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Donald Trump could not have won that campaign.
Agreed.
He would have been a moderate Democrat and would not have been well respected on the side of the Republicans. But in 2016, at that point in time, enough of the people, the plebes, if you will, what do they call them? The proletariat had developed enough social skills online to have kind of peeked under the conductor's dress to sort of see the shadows of what was going on, and they didn't like it. And 2016 was the response to not liking it. Now, what happened since then, I think, is an absolute fucking travesty. The whole concept of not questioning an election is retarded. Absolutely. On so many levels. Even if it was perfect, flawless, and there's no evidence of anything at all, the truth is a lion. It does not need to be defended. Only lies must be defended.
And you look at these indictments, I mean, like, it's, again, I agree with you. Trump is probably an asshole in person, but you don't get to be where he is in life and the money he has and the success that he's had in the business world without kind of being an asshole along the way. And you know, a lot of people are going to try to take things from you. Anybody who has money like that, billionaires, you know, people try to get in there and get some of that money. So he's got to kind of have a bullshit filter somewhere. And when you're on the wrong side of that bullshit filter, you get the asshole side. But yeah, it's these indictments, and you're talking about the election stuff, and you can't question an election. Like, if you get on Twitter right now and look up election, like Democrat election denial or whatever, and there's hours from the Al Gore election all the way up of them saying the election's rigged, everything's fake. Even Barack Obama's talking about Ohio, where I'm from, and how the machines that they use in Ohio could be hacked.
To this day, I'm in Georgia. And to this day, to my knowledge, Stacey Abrams has still not conceded the loss.
Right. Like she's still actively denying the fact that she lost, and she's not been indicted. No charges been
Nothing,
brought
not a
against her.
word.
But it's all anti Donald Trump and all this, and it's because in my personal opinion, I support basically whoever the establishment hates at this point because they hate them for a reason. And I've often thought that Trump might be playing a role of a heel or something, but I mean he's got 700 years above his head. I
Yeah.
mean obviously he's not going to live that long, but like he's risking everything to go against this system of the Bill Ayers system. We're looking at the Weather Underground controlling the government. That's basically where
Yeah,
we're
no,
at.
you're right. You're exactly right. I was going to bring that up in a minute. I actually had that in line to mention that the things that are playing out right now in front of everyone on YouTube, on Rumble, mostly on Rumble because YouTube don't play that shit.
Right.
Is it's almost like they use the Weather Underground as a playbook. That and Big Brother, was it 1984?
Yeah,
is how-to manual on everything.
It was not meant to be a blueprint. George Orwell did not write that so somebody would follow it and say this is the way for me to take power. He wrote it so some people, like he was a socialist himself. And
a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah, he wrote it because he understood the perils of totalitarianism, and it was kind of like a warning, like don't go down this road. And instead of you say the conservatives don't vote as much, and in the past they haven't, but that's how this has been allowed to happen, is because everybody read that and like, oh, it'll never happen, or it's not a big deal. America's so protected from this. We have the Constitution. The Constitution is a piece of Swiss cheese, if even that at this point. Like, what rights do you have?
Granted, it is not as strong as once it was, but it is the only bulwark we have is the Supreme Court upholding the Constitution.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is that assumes that Clarence Thomas isn't kicked out, because he's basically, in my opinion, he should be on the Mount Rush, the new Mount Rushmore when we win.
Right. I don't disagree with you, man. He's one of those people, and yet again, really broad brush. The left get really foaming at the mouth about. They want to try to call him black face of white supremacy, and I'm like, are you listening to yourself? Are you listening to the words coming out of your own mouth right now? All right, never mind. Okay, never mind. We can't talk to you. If you're wearing one of those things, I can't do it.
You can't have a black conservative because that undermines their entire strategy of divide and conquer, make everything a racist ploy, and since that's not working anymore, now we have all these other things with these, the rainbow squad and everything. Like they've divided everybody because race doesn't work. Class didn't work. Race is no longer working. So they had to divide everybody into 73 different things now so that everybody's infighting. And now they can divide and conquer that way, because if you don't accept this completely unrealistic imaginary perspective of who I think I am, and you don't bend the knee to me, then you sir, you are a bigot.
Here's the absurd part of that to me. And I got very angry about this until I realized why it angered me. I had a lifelong friend of mine, a person that I respect, and on any other circumstance, I would have just agreed with him and moved on, and it wouldn't have even been a thing. But he came into my home, into my house, and he demanded that I use language that I had never used previously, and became uproariously upset when I didn't. When I simply said, man, that's going to take a little while for me to start calling you a him. Yeah. You can't expect that. And they got really upset. And I went, wait, hold on, brother. You can believe yourself to be anything, but until you present to me what you expect to be called as an actual fact, and not just your mythical idea of something you're going to do in the future, don't bring that trash to me. You can neither curtail nor compel my speech. First Amendment. And I can love you as much as I want to, but I do not have to let you change the way I speak about you. First of all, gender. This is not a thing that can really be discussed on YouTube. This is an almost impossible subject to have a conversation with, regardless of who you're talking to, because even conservatives can't come to freaking terms with exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
Is it a mental illness? Is it a perception? Is it my truth? Is it your truth? None of this makes any sense. And what's worse, it doesn't matter. It just muddies the waters. The fact is, when you walk into the door and I see a 6-foot tall, hairy guy with facial hair and a whole bunch of freaking hair on his back sticking out of his collar and crap, my thought is man, not zebra.
Well, I mean, I was thinking while you were talking, like, can you imagine Andre the Giant coming in your house and being like, my pronouns are
it's ma'am.
Yeah, it's ma'am. Like, I can't. What are you even talking about? Like, you get into such this realm of just like your jaw's on the floor and you're just flabbergasted that this is even a conversation anyone's trying to have. And like, I've lost a lot of friends because since I've have come out of the closet as like a far right extremist or whatever. But it's no love lost. I mean, whatever. You guys are your head's in the sand. You don't see what's happening. You don't have this. You guys are microscopically looking at a problem now that affects so few people, that if you just backed out a little bit and let it all play out the way it's supposed to, or the way that nature would allow it to.
Nope. You just made an error right there. They are the science. They cannot allow nature to take its course. If they don't step in and cause it to happen, it's not real and must be evil.
Yeah. And then you're threatening their existence by saying they're not real. And that's a whole nother conversation.
But no, it's not. It's not another. It's the same conversation, just a different subject. That's kind of how they're winning this whole debate thing, is that they can force a conversation into a linguistic corner by not respecting the classical definitions of words that we've all been using for 30, 40 years. But today it's a totally different thing.
I mean, it's not even 30, 40. It goes back hundreds to thousands, possibly, because these are universal truths that we have all accepted because there is nothing to prove them wrong. Nothing has ever come in there and been like, you can't look at this and say this is not what it is. Call it what like an ant's an ant, a spoon's a spoon. My daughter asked me why we call spoons, or she asked me why potatoes were called potatoes or something. I'm like, why do they call spoons spoons? Like, there's no answer. It's a universal truth. It just is what it is. And you can't. That's what the leftist people, the critical theory people have done, is if they can't win a battle, they zoom in so far with the microscope that they get into the atomized version of everything. You start getting into the nucleus of things, and you see electrons and protons. You can now argue. You have so many new arguments now that nobody else but you really understands, because you make it up as you go along. The more you zoom in, the more you can say this is this and that is that, but you're not looking through the microscope, so you don't have it. You can't say I'm wrong. They get so far into the weeds that there's no argument that can be made against them. And is this your first upload? What's that?
Does that look right to be your first upload on your channel?
So a little explanation here. Again, before
we get there, okay. Hold on. I got a thing that I do, and it's a little funny. I hope. Sometimes people laugh. Sometimes they just stare at me like I'm some kind of a strange creature that they found under a rock.
You know about cars? Yes, I'm a paleontologist. Oh, it's okay. There's dynamite in this bag too. I am a paleontologist. I'm a paleontologist. Paleontologists study really old stuff.
Like crackers.
Because bad movies are funny.
All right, so I'm a YouTube paleo.
Look at it.
You like that?
Yeah.
All right. That came from a movie called Deary Off the Wall. You can purchase it on Amazon. It was made by a group of rather insane fellows down in Florida. There's this beautiful scene where they're doing a long road trip, and they go from the 1994 Mustang that they've rented to a stock footage cut of a 64 Mustang doing a mountain trail. And that's what they use for the road trip footage. It's brilliant. All right. First upload.
Yeah.
What band is this? Is this any of y'all, or are you just filming it?
No, I know the people in this band. The guy on the show now is my friend, one of my best friends of my entire life. I've known him for like 25 years. His name's Scott. He's a musician. We were all musicians. That was kind of our thing as teens. We all got into metal, and some of the guys there are people we've played with and known throughout the years. But it's a band called Oracle. They're not together anymore. This was a local show in Dayton, Ohio. Definitely not a thing anymore. I still think they all play music, just not together.
Not together. Okay. So you were saying about how your channels change, or how your channel was set up.
Yeah, so my the YouTube channel, the Tacos and Jihad YouTube channel was actually like my personal channel. It was under my actual name. And I posted things like sunsets, and I posted, I ended up making like videos that were kind of could be likened like Donnie Baker, where I would take on a character, and that was like what I was doing before I got into like the podcast, before COVID hit. I was just trying to be funny for my friends or whatever. And it never really went anywhere. I uploaded like family videos and stuff, and videos like this, but then I got into the podcasting and switched the YouTube over to the Tacos and Jihad thing. And then we would never last as a show on Tacos and Jihad, or on YouTube rather, which is why we just initially started a video on Rumble. We were an audio podcast for a long time, but we made the transition to video, and we realized very quickly that we would not survive there, and my account would get banned. So I didn't want to do that because I don't want to lose my videos. So now what we do on the YouTube channel is we attempt to drive traffic to our Rumble by posting clips and such. And Clarissa, my other co-host on the 2 Minutes of Hate show that we do, which is a 1984 reference, but
Right.
she's on TikTok. I think she just got banned, actually. I won't get TikTok. Neither of us will get me and Scott won't get TikTok because obvious reasons, but she does it, and she'll make clips and stuff and send them to me, and I'll post them on there and try to drive traffic. But as you can see from the view numbers, a lot of our not very many people on Rumble tend to go back to YouTube. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we don't
Correct.
we don't attract people who are on YouTube already with our content. So for obvious reasons.
I got a guy backstage that operates his own streaming service, and when the show's done, if he's still awake, I'm going to bring him up, and maybe we can have that whole discussion. And it would be just adding another source, I guess you'd call it, or destination. That's what it is. Anyway, what's up, 007? Welcome in, Bo. Good to see you. Yeah, no, I know you UK folks, y'all be up real late sometimes. But yeah, everything seems to be running fine. I appreciate the use of your channel, buddy. He's one of the guys that's restreaming this. I've got this policy that I do, and it might help your channel given that you don't really put a lot of uploads to it.
Mm-hmm.
Previous guests on Sasquatch Shills are always welcome in After Dark, which is where we discuss all kinds of crap, but terms of service issues, copyright infringement issues, OBS, StreamYard, Restream, any kind of technical stuff, sound problems, all of that stuff. If I can't figure it out, I will hunt down somebody that knows more about it than I do or has better equipment that can help.
Awesome.
And that the whole purpose of all of this is to help good content creators make better content easier. For example, on your phone, you have a feature in YouTube called Remix. This allows you to clip pieces of other creators' content and do a reaction style video to it. These things are crazy popular. I think I added 30 subscribers in the past like 2 weeks because I've been tinkering with it, playing with it, doing different things with it. One of the things you can do with that remix button is go back to your own content and do an entire short based off of it. Oops, screwed the page on that. Right. And this allows you to take content that you have already done and utilize it in a different algorithm, because YouTube has at least 3 algorithms functioning. The shorts algorithm is one thing. It does its own thing over there, masturbating by itself. I haven't figured that one out exactly. Then you have short, medium, and long vids. Short and medium are anything over a minute but under 5 minutes. And long vids are anything like over 8 minutes, and our medium vids are over 5 minutes and under 15 minutes. Long vids are anything over 15 minutes. And then you have live streams, which is a totally different thing. It functions in the same algorithms as far as thumbnails, titles, hashtags, stuff like that. But then the actual community in live streams are totally different. Just because I've got 2,000 some odd subscribers doesn't mean I get 50 people in the chat. You get 5 because most of those people showed up on shorts, and they never look at another video you made unless it pops up in the shorts feed. Some of those people came in on videos and they never look at a single live stream or a short you ever put up because they're not interested.
Right.
And then the live stream community is kind of its own thing in a nutshell. They're that's what they do. So you won't generally pick up live stream viewers from videos. You have to do the live stream aspect for it to really matter. And one of the things I've done is put together this entire Sasquatch Shills thing in a copyright free format that any previous guest can link up and restream to their channel, hopefully about once a week if I have the guests. And you're always welcome backstage. You know, if you just want to show up and ask some particular person a single question or whatever, and you don't necessarily want to come up, that's fine. Or if you just want to show up and be like, I've got this thing and it's broken. Can somebody help me fix it? That's also cool.
From 2004, please help me.
Exactly. And Grim could probably chew right through that thing. He'd love it.
I think it's super helpful because I didn't know anything about doing video stuff, video shows or anything. Like I said, we started as an audio only. It started on my phone, me on my couch by my lonesome, talking about food or travel or just whatever. And then, you know, eventually I had my political leanings and everything, and I saw what was happening with the society and everything, and it just kind of naturally evolved into what it is today. And it's now obnoxious, it's now hyperbolic, but not so hyperbolic that you lose sight of what's going on. Again, the one show that I do with my buddy Scott now, like I try to weave a narrative where it starts somewhere and eventually comes back around full circle. It's OBS is a beast.
It is an absolute monster. And I'm going to go through the list right now, just so everybody can know this. When I started my YouTube channel, I downloaded OBS, Shotcut, and StreamYard. Those three things, you can reproduce virtually any effect you see on YouTube if you can figure it out.
Yeah. If you can spend the time on it and look at these various screens, because I have StreamYard going over here and then I have my OBS going over here, and
Right.
it, like learning how to just trying to BS my way through OBS to make a show happen was a humongous feat in itself. It was like a Sisyphean complex. I just kept rolling the rock up the mountain and it kept falling and rolling me over, and I just kept trying it again. So I'm trying to not learn anything new because I don't want to mess anything up. You know what I mean?
Argument. This is a live stream that I'm letting other creators stream to their channel. I call it ghetto syndication. And Grim was nice enough to allow me to stream to his channel. He's a previous guest on the show. And so that's kind of what we're doing here, is talking to this gentleman about his channel. Grim's actually backstage sleeping right now. Every time I unmute him, all I hear is snoring. That man got a hell of a whistle. But anyway, so you've got the YouTube side of this kind of on mothballs. Is that kind of the way you're running it?
Yeah, I mean, well, I have I take timestamps of stuff for like when we're recording, and I try to say like I want to clip this point because like Clarissa made a great point, or Scott made a good point, or I made a good point, and then it's just I got family and day job, and it's so hard to like get back into it and start cutting stuff up, which is helpful to have a team. We're kind of a team, and it's helpful to have other people do it, but they got families and they got day jobs. Yeah. It's just, so YouTube.
Let me tell you what I say about getting YouTubers together. I would rather herd cats. It would be easier with less injury. I'm serious.
I believe it.
As far as if you're interested in the growth of your YouTube channel in order to drive traffic elsewhere, this is probably going to be a sketchy commodity coming up. They're starting to reduce out of sight links. They're taking them off of shorts. They're fixing to start taking them. The story goes, they're going to remove all links that take you out of YouTube and try to replace it with much lower tier monetization features. That's the leak type stuff that I have heard. I don't have any actual evidence to back that up, but it does match with what I've been seeing going on in the back end. Is like shows like mine where I use your actual channel name to give people the link to go to your channel. And in the future, if you ever change your channel name, the name of my show will automatically change to your new channel name. Score. If they stop that, I'm not sure how this show's going to work.
Yeah, if I may just interject about talking about YouTube versus places like Rumble, and I mean there are other free speech friendly networks or sites out there, but I mean if you're pro free speech or pro not living through what we've been living through the past decade or whatever, Rumble, I mean we post some pretty out there stuff on our show. Like we get into some conversations that would definitely they'd be up for 5 seconds on YouTube. And if you're pro free speech and stuff, like Rumble really is the place to go. And they have a monetization feature, which is not at all unfriendly to the creator. It's just you got to support the places that are supporting you. And my wife just got a tattoo today, and the guy asked where he heard about us from, and I said, well, I walked in and it said make tattoos great again. And I'm like, well, this guy probably doesn't hate me. So I'm gonna give him my money. You know what I mean?
And if he does hate you, he won't tell you about it. He'll just do the tattoo and take your money.
Yeah, exactly. Like he'll do what his job is to do and take the money and say, have a great day.
Yep. Or not. Roll his eyes and go on about his business. I don't care if they're blind, crippled, crazy, as long as they can do the job. Exactly. I want the best person I can afford. I want the most skilled individual to do my roof that I can pay for.
Exactly.
Hey, Scotty Waddles, welcome in, bud. Good to see you. So we got about 10 minutes left on this part of the show, and after that we do an after dark. After dark is partly the video you see behind you, which is scary Ring doorbell footage. And if you want to stick around and do that, we can. We also discuss any technical issues, terms of service, anything like that. OBS, how to conjoin OBS and StreamYard to make your sound not sound like trash. That's another one we try to cover. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I'll stick around for a few minutes. We have the wife and I have dinner plans, but I'll stick around for a few minutes.
That's fine. In that case, I'll go ahead and pitch this part of it. So the part of the thing with the whole remix feature is that you're able to utilize your own content. And so once you've done it, you can reuse the videos that you did. So if you're clever and you think ahead, you can clip specific parts and use songs where it looks like you're mouthing the words or whatever. And you can just use the sound from a previous video, or you could do it reaction style. You can even do reaction styles to your own videos, which is, say if you said something that was odd, strange, or unusual, or you don't necessarily agree with anymore, you can go back and do a reaction. This is stuff that I don't see other people using this stuff for, right? This feature is available. We could be uploading all kinds of just whatever type of content you want, and yet people are not taking advantage of it. And YouTube's all but trying to force everyone to. So I don't know. Just consider it. If you've got somebody from TikTok, sick them on it. It'll probably be simpler for them to figure it out because they already kind of got their toe in the water.
Absolutely. Yeah. Clarissa she was the one that was going to be here with us tonight on the show, but she had other things going on. And stuff.
Yeah. I had kind of hoped she'd show up, but it happens. We do what we can with what we got. And that's really where we're at.
But she's the one who does most of the clipping and TikToking and stuff and remixing. It would be beneficial for her to learn that stuff, especially for YouTube.
Yeah, I'm totally down for. I do stuff backstage a lot too. Like I've got a couple of private studios that, like on Wednesdays, I think it is. I go into a private testing studio, and almost all my previous guests have that link, and they know I'll be there most Wednesdays, most of the day. Now, there's every chance you show up and it's just a movie playing in the background and I'm not here at all. I'm all freaking gallivanting through the meadows or whatever, Yeah. I'm a Sasquatch. You can't pin me in. All right, so I got one last question for you that I meant to bring this up earlier, and it might take you a minute. Don't worry about going over time. There's no such thing.
Okay.
What's the Ramas Vivaswamy
Swamy?
Is that his name?
I can't say his first name is Vivek. I don't Vivek.
Right. This guy. All right. Tell me, just without going into what he stands for, what's behind him, does he not absolutely terrify you on a poster?
I'm trying to just look at his face on a poster, and I don't
The
know.
mouth looks carnivorous, dude. Like, homie seriously looks like he wants to take a big juicy bite out of the cameraman every time he smiles at a camera. And it creeps me out in a weird way. My real fear, though, is he has all the correct talking points. He is right on point with every single point that you could discuss as a conservative, lightweight, or Genghis Khan, right? Like, all the way across the board, except for a couple of facts. He doesn't seem to be coming from a place of genuine desire, but desire for something else. Like, he wants to do this to get to another point. And the only way to do this is to be the front runner for the Republican campaign, which is impossible. And I don't see a Donald Trump Vivek ticket. I don't see that happening.
Well, see, that's what I was going to say is I foresee him being the VP nominee. The reason I say that is because Trump doesn't hate him. Trump
You
actually,
think he'll do the ticket? I don't know, man.
I mean, I think a Trump Tulsi ticket would be something to if you're just looking at like demographics and boxes you can check, you got to go for Tulsi. But I mean, and she's like she's a Democrat, but is she? You know, I mean, she's anti.
I actually like Tulsi Gabbard. As far as Democrats go, she's the least toxic of the group that I've seen. Whenever you actually speak to this woman, she stops and thinks about what she's fixing to say. She doesn't just immediately quote some handler given talking point to the media. She cocks her head to the side and goes, well, you know, and there's obvious cognitive attempts to understand taking place. You don't see that anywhere on the other side.
The hamster is turning, you know, it's like the wheel is turning.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't vote for her as like for president just based on simple things that she's she wants to control guns, and as most Democrats do. But for everything else she's about, she's a common sense human being, and that's all we can ask for anymore. But is it though? Is it all we can ask for? Because Vivek 10 years ago was a Democrat. But it is where it is now, where he just happens to seem like a far right extremist because, you know, everything right of Bill Clinton is extremism now.
Well, I'm slightly right of Genghis Khan. I think everyone should do what I say.
Exactly. Right. But you talk about him having the points, all the talking points, and he has them memorized. But he's a businessman, much like Trump. They kind of think along the same ideas, the same idea lines, I think. You know, I don't just me making assumptions because obviously I don't know either one of these people.
Right. Yeah.
Do it. But I think that I do think he's genuine. When you look at his answers, there was a video that came out recently where one of these some person who her tag, her initial say, hi, how are you? I want to ask you a question was, hi, I'm pansexual, blah, blah, blah. So that wasn't like staged, right? You had somebody coming up with a legitimate question from way over in left field, and he gave a legitimate thought out answer. He if you look at him, you can see he's thinking while he's talking. And I think that makes that shows a little bit of that Tulsi Gabbard cocking her head thing. And I don't like he stands to gain nothing from infiltrating the Trump campaign and undermining the whole message and undermining everything he wants.
No. I have a totally different prognostication. Forgive me. I know you're mid-sentence and I apologize, but I think you misunderstand what his purpose here is. It is not. It is not to subvert or infiltrate the Trump campaign. It is merely to be close enough to the top that whenever they, Epstein Trump, he can step into a position of power. And then suddenly you have your diversity, inclusion, and equity nominee leading the country. I mean, is not that what Kamala Harris is?
Well, absolutely. She definitely did her job for doing anything, you know.
I'm not saying I don't know anything about this man's personal politics, but I do suspect him of being somewhat related to some kind of Soros money somewhere. I can't see how he could get this far into politics without having at least tripped over a couple of grand.
Yeah. I guess I didn't take that terribly or very much into consideration because I, like everybody else, you get swept up into this and like you kind of forget like your own principles sometimes. And you're like, well, I like this guy. This guy's talking all the right stuff and Trump doesn't hate him. So, is he fair? Fair.
That's an issue, man.
Yeah, that's true too. And I see another one talking about Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake. I don't have anything against her.
How about Carrie Lake Tulsi Gabbard ticket?
I mean, you're talking pie in the sky stuff now.
Hey, man, you want to go pie in the sky? We can get even harder core than that. Let's go. Yeah, no, that's some real pie in the sky, some blue sky signs there, ain't it?
I like Carrie Lake, and I do think, and you see all these right wing pundits like Bongino and stuff talking, well, oh, she lost to I can't the communist that she lost to, I can't remember her name right off the top of my head, but like she didn't campaign, she didn't do anything. It's like if you don't think that election was rigged from the jump, then you are off your rocker, because I don't think, first of all, I don't think she lost that. I do think there was a lot of things that went against that went not in her favor for fear of pissing off the YouTube people.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Supposedly all of that stuff's supposed to be above board now. You can like disagree with stuff, but I'm still kind of sketching the edge around that shit.
Yeah, it's
because I am not attempting to be great. I would like to be high yield mediocre and aggressively average. I don't want to blow up. I want to blow over a little bit. A little bit further down, because when you blow up, you suddenly get a lot of attention you don't necessarily want, and that can just break a channel. I've been very careful with all of this. I'm hoping the stuff I've learned here will go into my next channel, because I'm inevitably going to be freaking nuked. Just give it time.
I'm waiting for it too. I'm not necessarily Rumble channel, because Rumble I don't think will do that based on history, but in my normal life,
right.
I'm just waiting to be docked and fired and all that stuff.
If you've got a couple of people working on your content, it would help to have one in particular take just not even pay attention to the Rumble terms of service. One of y'all handle the topics for Rumble or whatever, and have somebody actually look at the terms of service for YouTube and just do the YouTube shorts and short videos and clips. Mm-hmm. Because it's really hard to think dually on that stuff. Because when I was trying to do Facebook, Rumble, YouTube at the same time, I ran into the issue of having to shut them down in the right order and then do the edits and send them to the right places. And that is a headache a single man should not have to deal with, because one mistake from a Rumble channel to a YouTube channel and you just nuke your YouTube channel.
Right.
So I think it would be better if different people handled that, but that's about it. All right. So this is the end of Sasquatch Shills. I'm not going off of live. I'm going to bring you up to the big screen, tell everybody where to find you, how to get to your live streams, whatever that is. I meant to have it on. Your channel is linked, and all of your links are on your channel, right?
Yep.
Okay. All the links are also in the description of this live stream and will be in the description of the Sasquatch Shills episode when I upload it. Right. And that's what you'll get a copy of, is the Sasquatch Shills episode. Okay. After I do the play out and everything, I'm going to reach over here and turn off everybody else's live streams, and only mine's going to run the questionable material I have from here, because I don't want to damage nobody else's channel. Right.
Fair.
So anyone in other live streams really need to come find mine in the next few minutes, or you're going to be left out in the cold. But all right, tell everybody what it is and how it do it jiggle.
So Tacos and Jihad, you can find us on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. We're at Tacos and Jihad. We have a thriving community, 2 different channels on Telegram. Those links you can find on our Rumble channel, and I think it's in below here as well. Again, the YouTube's not really where we do the core of our work. We plan to be doing man on the street. We've attended rallies and protests. There's tons of stuff out there, tons of content on Rumble for you guys to peruse. Facebook, Instagram. We have a thriving community on Instagram also. We probably have the most people on Instagram, which is really weird actually, because of the stuff we post. But check it out. Come talk to us. We're all pretty active there on the channels on Telegram. We'd love to have you. Check out our content. Follow.
Magnificent, dude. You have been one hell of a guest. Out of the 200 and some odd folks I've had come through, I've had maybe 3 actually prepared to do that.
I enjoy it, man. I think I've enjoyed it. Thanks for having me. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, Carrie, you missed the whole thing, bro. I did that thing you asked me to do. He's right here, and you're just not even just so late and gay. What can I say? All right, I'm gonna drop you backstage. I'll bring you back up in about 3 minutes. All right, bud.
Sounds good.
Much love. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everybody coming around for this here Sasquatch Shills. It's the kind of thing I try to do at least once a week. I'll do it 3 times a week if I've got enough guests. The only requirement I have for you to be a guest on Sasquatch Shills is don't be an asshole, preferably. Although I'm very forgivable on the whole First Amendment thing. I'm an absolutist. 2, have content on YouTube of any description, 3 or 4, 10 videos, something like that, and a handful of subscribers. Most people who have channels like Tacos and Jihad are doing exactly what Tacos and Jihad's doing. They're actually on other platforms. And while I don't specialize on Rumble or TikTok or Instagram, I'm a YouTube specialist. These people are part of the community. They do affect the algorithm, and it's worthwhile to take a look at these channels, mainly because you can go check them out over there. But all the links are in the description. I appreciate y'all coming by, and we'll be back with this in just a few minutes.
Sorry. Good news, though. We're going to have to move the party somewhere a little bit more private, but you're all invited. Lorenzo will give you the details. Yeah!
Hey, she was a cutie in a sundress. I told her I just had to confess. I got a crush on you, darling. Them long tan legs got me falling.
All righty then. Let's do this. Hey Grim, are you awake? Yeah, okay. Hopefully he'll send me a message or something when he wakes up. Let me do the invite thing. This is the part where we have I appreciate that, dude. That was absolutely amazing. It was one of the best shows I've ever done.
I'm glad I spilled my drink on myself after you took me off the screen.
I saw that. That moment where you were like, I'm like, what do you do? Leave the joint or something? Like so this part of the show, what we generally do here is I drop the link in chat. I pin the link so that any old body that want to hop up can at least come look at me through the little backstage windows over here. I have some videos lined up to play as background features. Anybody comes in can ask questions. It goes to whatever topic anybody wants. And I have a couple of questions that I forgot. Tacos and Jihad, bro. Like, how'd you come to Tacos and Jihad? I've heard a lot of them. That's a good one.
So the name, I was originally Taco Jihadist, and it was like a gamer tag because I used to play a lot.
Yeah, that's good shit.
And
I think you killed me once in Call of Duty.
Yeah, that's what I played. It was Call of Duty and Battlefield and stuff. And I when I was starting to make the podcast, I was like, well, what the hell am I going to call it? And so I was like, well, Taco Jihadist, tacos and jihad. I love tacos, hence the name. And I'm willing, like, jihad, like it's a meritorious fight to fight for tacos. So it just kind of like evolved from there.
Love it, dude. I absolutely love it. How'd you like this one? I couldn't think of nothing else. It just kind of popped.
Oh, it's great.
Tacos Jihad, but a burrito won't do.
Yeah, and one of my daughters actually in our intro song, we have like a taco. It's a taco boom, is what we called it. But she's the one that made that because it's like you bite into a taco and it blows up. Jihad.
Yeah, beautiful. That's beautiful, dude. I love it. I didn't pin that shit, and it's already errored. Arg. Fix it immediately. Another thing I do, and I've been told not to by some people, but I generally don't listen to them because fuck all those guys.
Yeah.
If I have a random idea that I think suits your channel, especially, I might bombard you with a few emails about it to be like,
more than welcome.
Like, perfect example, the smoking auditor who doesn't do audits is named the smoking auditor. So it occurred to me that he doesn't have to go film cops. He doesn't have to go anywhere. He could go on YouTube, use the remix feature, and do straight up reaction videos where he goes to the comments, reads out the most degrading comments about the cops he could find, and that'll do great.
Yeah.
Call it cop smoking.
You can make content. What I've learned about since I've been doing this is you can literally make content out of anything. I mean, the 2 minutes of hate thing, we just take stuff that's already existing and just talk about it. And, you know, sometimes we have guests on to talk about it and just to help us. And see what their opinions are. You can make content about anything.
Yeah. What I often tell people whenever they're, and you run into these people around 150, 200 subscribers, they've been doing it for 6 months or so. They've got a general thing that they're doing, some topic or something. And they'll come to their viewers and be like, well, what do you want to see me do next? And no one ever answers because they just want to see you do something. They don't really care what you do. But the fact is, and this is something that I truly believe, and this is one of the reasons this works. I want to see you do something that you love and makes you uncomfortable. If you love it, we will notice it and we will watch. If you love it enough to do it, even though it makes you uncomfortable, then that will be great content, because the emotions involved will come through the performance itself. Even if you're not acting, if you're not singing, if you're just working on a car, it'll come through. People will watch it.
Yeah, people gravitate towards passion and dedication to a craft and stuff. And I've noticed that myself. You know, since I've started this, I've met so many different circles of people just from doing the show, like the audio show. I met so many different people, and it's insane how it blows up. Like when you meet people in person who are as passionate about what you're talking about as you are, and it leads to so many different opportunities. And you know, you're invited to rallies and protests and stuff, and then you can make content on all that. You make lifelong friends that you otherwise would have never met.
Yeah.
Like you, for instance, I've never met you before, and here we are,
Right. And I once interviewed a deaf Bigfoot hunter.
Do you ASL? Like
a little bit. Actually, yeah, there was a hot blonde in high school who was deaf. I do.
I was wondering, because I was going to say, like, how exactly did that work out?
If you look over on the right side over here, there's a private chat thing. I hooked him up with private chat so that I could type out the questions, and I had a few that I had already pre-typed and copy pasted it over in, and it was a bit of a trash show, but at the same time, it's one of the better ones. What's up, Scully? Good to see you, bud. It's another previous guest. He does ASMR readings and stuff. I do some voice work with him whenever he invites me.
I am pro ASMR. I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh, dude, you'd love his channel. He does this whole yeah.
The binaural thing really does it.
That whole thing. Hope I got that set back right. I ain't booming in on you, am I?
No.
All right, so over here over my shoulder, we have supposedly, let me make sure it's the right video still, this 30 scariest Ring doorbell footages. 90% of them are just black because there's not enough contrast for it really to come through. And you saw the clip from my son Hunter at the end. I have
at the end of the live thing, the initial one. Yeah,
I love that shit. I have an assistant, right? An assistant named Lorenzo that I stole straight from that movie. Because every time somebody's like, well, Lorenzo's a man's name, it's fine. She's a beautiful woman. And she's got a line in the movie where she says, I'm he, him to you, she, her to your sister, and don't get it mixed up. That was the reason I went with it. Previously, I had I think it was John Shepard was the name of my fake assistant, because I have no assistants. There's nobody helping me with this shit.
I mean, you got a lot going on there. Honestly, you're talking about, you got all these different live streams and stuff. The reason we don't have live streaming is because I refuse to pay for Sasquatch right now, or not. I just, you know what I mean. StreamYard. I looked up to StreamYard duck and it says Sasquatch.
I'm going to clip that, bro, because I hope somebody does pay for Sasquatch.
I refuse to pay for StreamYard right now because it serves our purpose for what we're doing right now, and that's a pretty hefty ticket for doing what is for essentially free. But you said you have 5 different live streams going on to other people's channels and stuff. Like being able to manage all that is, I mean, like I said, I learned as I went, and I'm afraid to touch anything now because I'm afraid the whole house of cards will fall apart.
I hear you, dude. Let me tell you what I just went through. So 2 years ago when I installed my OBS, I beat my head against the wall and crashed it so many times that I eventually learned how to build and deconstruct the damn thing by default of having done it wrong, every possible wrong way to do it. Right. Also, another thing, every time I rebuild my OBS setup, I try to figure out ways to do it with less resource operation on my laptop.
Okay.
So if I can do some stuff in StreamYards and get it out of OBS, that's less work for my laptop to do at the time. Things done in StreamYards play stream right, but they might not look right to you. But you have to upload it to StreamYards to make it trigger properly, right? If you just try to use your laptop or your desktop to stream through StreamYards using the share feature, however sketchy your setup is going to come straight through on the product. You notice all of this stuff running smooth as butter.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I took my heaviest things out of OBS and put them into StreamYards. But when I set up my OBS, I tried to download the advanced scene switcher, advanced automatic scene switcher, automatic advanced. Anyway, it was a doc. I added it. I put it in the wrong folder and I lost it. Right. So for a year and a half, every 30 seconds, 3 minutes and 30 minutes, my advanced scene switcher would attempt to scene switch a scene that was never developed, never entered in, never produced, and deleted out of everything I could find to delete it out of, and it would do it. And I finally sat down and no bullshit, I went through every single file in the download folders, program files, all of that shit to find advanced scene switcher in the wrong place and just eliminate it. Just delete that shit. Just get rid of it. Fix.
I don't even know what this advanced scene switcher. I don't even know what you're talking about because I do everything. I do everything manually. Like when you watch our show, you'll see me going over here and trying to make something happen.
I do too. But there are docs. There are open source free docs that you can download to add to your OBS to give it more functionality as a broadcasting platform.
Okay.
You can get, there's all kinds of sound features already built in with filters and whatnot. That's the vanilla version, but you can download things that are very similar to like Audacity to run live sound effects and stuff. You can set up your keyboard to do all your sound effects and everything like you would a soundboard. You can, what's up, Motor City Maniac? Ain't seen you in a minute. Welcome in, bro. Good to see you. Walter Davis. In the same vein, Shotcut is also just as complicated and has just as many addable features. But when you're talking about using open source versus purchased programs, Shotcut is the open source from which the paid programs are developed.
Shotcut is the name of it?
Shotcut. And it is, like you said, what'd you call it? Powerful? It is. OBS is powerful. Shotcut is its mirror in editing. Okay. You can do all the sound things. It's an amazing product and it's free.
Okay.
They have their own tech sources and everything. What's up, AJot?
That actually, we had a guest on. I think he mentioned Shotcut actually. Now that you bring it up, because I couldn't remember the name and I was going to ask him what the name was, but I think that might be it. He said it was highly super functional and made everything super easy for him.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, okay, so every time I get to a point where I see somebody do something on a video and I'm like, I wonder how that happened. How do you do that? And I come in and I bring up my OBS and my camera and I get everything set up and then I'll film a bit. I'll do some overlays. I'll work it out until I get it to kind of look like that. And then I realize, wait a second, no, that's not how it was done. That was done in editing. Right. And I'll go and do the same thing using Shotcut and editing tricks. And then I'm like, that's not quite right either. And I realized, wait, no, they did two different things at the same time and overlaid it in OBS so that it was 5 videos playing simultaneously. Bam. There it is. It's done. Never upload that stuff.
Is the learning curve like OBS or is it a much shorter, like smaller learning curve?
It's a little bit smaller. Depending on how many docs you're after, what specifically you're wanting to do with it. If you're just jump cutting videos, it's great.
Okay.
If you're just stripping sound or you're just using some light fade edits and stuff like that, the vanilla version would be fine. That's what I use.
Cool.
Uh, I have updated it completely, but I've also I attempted to download a dock, but every time I tried to install it, it would give me some kind of a weird, inappropriate location warning, and so I just deleted all that crap and stuck with the basic. I figure at some point in time it'll matter enough. But like this, a couple of weeks ago, I did a Sweet Child of Mine parody about Hunter Biden called Creep Child of Mine. It's absolutely horrible. Some of the worst work I've ever done in my life, but I giggled maniacally the whole time.
I mean, look, I have like bumpers that we use on the show, and I've only got 2 right now, but I want to make more. But the second one I made is so corny and so just cringeworthy, but it serves my purpose. But when I was making it, I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous, and you can't do anything. But I succeeded in doing what I was trying to do. You know what I mean? Like it conveys the point I want to convey, but you got to laugh at yourself. And sometimes if something makes you giggle, then you got to go with it.
Dude, I went ahead and put on that Sweet Child of Mine parody. I listed everyone who told me to upload it, and then everyone who said that they'd take care of the negative press from it. Yeah. I just shared everybody's child. I was like, they saw it, they told me to do it.
For all your complaints to these people.
These are the people to blame, because I wasn't going to upload that trash, but fine then. I don't know, dude. YouTube's a funny beast. It's so see. Here's the thing about YouTube, and you hear this a lot, and most people that's not content creators don't understand what it means. I can wake up tomorrow and a term of service be changed, and 25 of my videos are suddenly strikeable. They just get taken down. YouTube doesn't send me an email and say, hey, by the way, we're reducing your content. I don't say anything to you at all. They just take your shit down. And then you don't have it, and you don't know where it went. And maybe you don't have a copy, and you didn't get a notification, so you couldn't make a copy. And that's terrifying.
Well, and it's the arbitrariness of counter revolution. You know what I mean? It's like if they change the definitions of something one day, and they determine that your content that's been up for 5 years or whatever is now counter revolutionary, and they take it down, and they ding your channel, and you risk losing your entire channel. So that's why I was just like, we're not even going to try this, because I already got 1 strike. I don't want to lose everything. I'm just going to put it over here where I'm not going to get any strikes. But it's that arbitrary manner of things. It's so arbitrary.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly that. It's specifically designed to filter out people with free thinking, critical ideas, people who are critically thinking about reality.
Based on the new definitions of the mind virus that changes as it wants to, based on whatever like gives them the power of the day.
We call them brain worms.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing when I go and get these videos to react to and whatnot. I call it filtering the brain worms out. You have some people who filter the brain worms and then bring you the brain worms to show you, look at these brain worms over here. And then you have other people like me who go in and filter the brain worms out and show you what's not fully brain worm, but more of a nymph brain worm, like this trash.
Yeah. Shout out to Scott there in the chat. I see him. He's Scott. He's the other co-host.
Fantastic.
Charles. His name's Scott, but goes by Charles.
Charles Short.
Vice versa.
Dude, I do. Look, I don't know how much YouTube y'all mess around with in shorts or whatnot, but I am Odin.
Yeah,
I mean, for real.
Well, what he's talking about there is like we've been talking in our.
He's doing.
That's me.
That's great. But we've been talking about doing skits and stuff. You know, trying to film skits, and I don't have any videography experience other than what you see here, but right. I think we using open shot or shot. I can't remember what you call it now.
Shotcut, and then there's CapCut, and then there's a dozen of them like that.
But I think using those tools, it wouldn't be tough to really put together, a 90-second skit that was equal parts hilarious and informative, which is really, I know we drink a lot on the show. We try to have fun with everything because the ship is sinking. You gotta have fun.
Do you have an issue with me drinking?
I don't. I'm sorry. I didn't ask if you did, and I've been drinking the whole time.
Dude. Okay, first of all, I'm this guy. Okay, I am a person pretending to be a mythical creature, pretending to be a person on the internet. Go look at my introduction on the channel, the description, and it tells you that I'm a Sasquatch that stole a cell phone and established myself a social identity to move to the suburbs. To use a people filter to make me look like a person so that I can do these interviews and you think you're talking to an actual human. My original idea for Sasquatch was to be a literal NPC. Part of it came through in the way I do my show. You could have come in here as an app because when someone says they're anti-communist, sometimes they're a bread tuber.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like they're trying to play the part of a conservative to try to get conservative people into their chat so that they can
Yeah.
convert them. And so, like, I didn't get that impression from you at all. And the fact that you were referenced by Kerry, kind of, sort of like, you might be a dictator or a fascist. You're probably not communist, though.
Definitely not that either. Not a. I mean, what is a fascist anymore? Anybody I
Oh my
disagree with?
God, dude, don't get me started. I had a long conversation about that with a buddy of mine this morning, and we came up with something like 6 different modern definitions, acceptable definitions of fascism.
Yeah, and none of them are like today's versions of acceptable definitions of fascism are never the definition of fascism
At all. Because here's the thing. They call Donald Trump a fascist leader. No, he's a populist. That's totally freaking different.
Well,
Populism can lead to fascism, but that's not the typical route of that. Most populists serve for their number of years and then gracefully bow out. Look at Barack Obama. Now, granted, he is using, if you look close enough at Joe Biden, you can see Obama's fingers sticking out of his mouth moving.
Well, I mean, it's Trump's a nationalist, and nationalism today has been equated to fascism somehow because part of fascism is that you're nationalists. But that's what I was talking about earlier. Is like with communism and distribution, like you're also nationalist as a communist because you have to worship the state or else you don't get fed. So you're nationalist by default.
Much love, Binky. I appreciate it. She's usually my co-host, Ajot. She usually comes in, sits backstage, tells me everything's going to be all right. You got lucky. You didn't get to see my pre-show freak out. You showed up in the last few seconds, and I'd already done my full freak out. So you didn't get to hear me doing my stupid things that I do to try to keep the anxiety down. Dude, I get so nervous before my shows. It's ridiculous.
This anxiety was the number one reason I never did anything publicly. I suffer from a shit ton of anxiety, and doing this really helped. I mean,
check it out, man. My whole life, I've always been, the joker in the back of the class, the guy who says, "That's what she said."
Yeah, right.
Or or I do voices and stupid shit like that, but it's none of it has. It's like a bird whistle. It's like learning a bird call. I don't know what it means. It's just a sound that I can make. Like put them up. It's. I'll say, boy, what we need to do is gather up all these communists and put them down in the freaking hole in the ground with the rest of the holes in their heads, that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's a bird call. It has no meaning to me. Oh, my favorite, you'll love this. So the first problem we have is trying to get a whole Alex Jones discussion going down in YouTube, because every time they hear this voice, they immediately remove everybody watching the stream. You need to go get a couple of those power bars, a couple of cups of coffee, and we'll get together and talk about it. So we can do skits, bro.
99% curcumin. This is the best curcumin on the market. I have a good
authority. I have it on good authority. I'm sorry.
It's private label. It's the best you could buy.
I have it on good authority that Hillary Clinton's vagina smells exactly like brimstone. It's one of my favorite lines ever.
Yeah. Look, I mean, your thoughts on Alex aside, the man is he's an entertainment genius.
Dude,
absolutely hilarious when he wants to be.
I love it. I do. Right. But then again, I was an Alex Jones watcher back before Alex Jones was right.
Right. Yeah. I got hip to him, 2008 or something I knew he existed prior to that, but 2008 is when I really started watching. And yeah, it's the guy is just like it's professional wrestling. I mean, all of this is professional wrestling. You know, and he really is that guy, though. You know what I mean? Like he's actually that guy. And if he didn't tone it down, he was going to have a heart attack and die. I mean, there's just no.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I did a parody song of Alex, the Mississippi Squirrel Revival. You ever heard any Ray Stevens?
No.
Okay, go check out Ray Stevens' Mississippi Squirrel Revival. And on my channel, I have a karaoke version of Alex Jones singing the same song.
Oh,
it's really bad. It's not my worst work though. It's semi acceptable work, sort of.
I have a buddy named a buddy Chris who hasn't been on the show since the audio days, but it's about time we call him up. He has an Alex Jones impersonation that is absolutely spot on. Dude's perfect.
That's phenomenal. Gorge.
Hey John, nice to meet you.
Oh yeah, bud. When he snuck in the Bohemian Grove, I became a follower. Yeah, no, I mean, I was already there before that, but I've never really been like a hardcore follower. Yeah. I just sit around and wait patiently to see what the leftards go crazy about him saying, and then go research specifically those things.
Right, like the frog.
This ain't true. Nobody does that. That's bullshit. That's a conspiracy theory. You really need to buckle down and look deeply into that subject.
Yeah, I mean, just the frogs and their sexual proclivities. I mean, you know, it's that whole video was a joke when it came out. It was an absolute joke. Everybody took it and ran with it and said, this guy is he's batshit crazy. But then, like, it came out that atrazine had some effects on people. And then we have the world we live in now where people are doing what they're doing. And it's, well, maybe he was right, you know?
Dude, let me tell you, I went on vacation for 2 weeks on my Alex Jones's right jar. I had to empty it.
Listen, I hear you. I'm going to Vegas on it next week.
Damn right. Damn right. All right, it's time for a toast. Here's to you and here's to me, and may we never disagree, but if we do, to hell with you. Here's to me.
That is a hell of a toast.
Arrgh, rum.
Check out the song Intermission by Upon a Burning Body. They do the same toast. Awesome.
I also like to do I quote quite often Jim Morrison, Grateful Dead, the Walrus and the Carpenter, Jabberwocky, a lot of Lewis Carroll, come to think of it. I have a few things I like to do, like crazy crossovers. Like when Scully invited me to come do Peter Pan, I originally wanted to come in to do the voice of Captain Hook because I have an extremely excellent voice for evil, right? So the specific pitch that I wanted for Captain Hook was James Earl Jones does Captain Hook. I find your lack of happy thoughts disturbing.
James Earl Jones could literally do anything, and it would become him. You know what I mean?
Okay, let me ask you about trolls. Do you have troll issues on Rumble? Are they
not so much, because again, like the people that would disagree with us tend to stay on YouTube, which is why, like, again, like when I was saying that nobody on YouTube really like we don't have a lot of draw on YouTube, because all these people they're all, for the most part, they're lost, you know, they don't want to hear what we have to say. And if you present the truth to them, they shun it, you know, so they just, we're opposing polarities, so to speak. And so they don't exist on Rumble is long form of what I'm saying.
I'm a retired troll. I spent 5 years ruining channels that were grifting for various reasons, whether they were pretending to be in recovery, pretending to be homeless, pretending to be whatever, right? Like there was this one guy, he was living in an apartment in New York, and he was pretending to be this homeless dude living down the street from the apartment in New York, right? And the way you could figure this out is back then people didn't understand quite so much about the whole concept of once it's online, it doesn't come down.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times when you have these old videos that have been uploaded and then removed, if you know how to go about digging through the old stuff on YouTube, you can go find somebody else who clipped your video and it's still up on their channel sitting over there with one view.
Right.
It's just tricky. It takes some experience. And so I would wander into a channel, see that they've got, 500 subscribers and people are sending them money and they've got 8, 10 people in chat. And I would show up as 156 different people and become his best supporter, his worst troll, his best friend, his best mod, his worst friend, and also one guy over there that doesn't agree with anybody and just has his own conversations. And eventually he would inevitably, they would deuce out 5, 10, 15, but then the one or two profiles I had that were agreeing with the channel and full support would eventually get modded, and then I would just demise that channel.
Right.
It wasn't as tricky as it is now. Back then, it didn't tell the creator who it was that blocked people. It didn't tell the creator when they were blocked. It was just this guy's blocked. And if you didn't go check on it, you didn't find out about it. So you'd be going along, 8 people showing up for your live stream, 10 people showing up, and then 12, and then 15, and then 25 over the course of 2 or 3 months. You'd get up to 120 or so in a given live stream. And then somebody will say something like, "You're faking it. You're not actually on." And they deuce him out. And then everyone in the chat disappears except me as 15 different people. So the numbers don't actually change. And then when I leave, the next time they have a live stream, there's no one in chat. No one can join.
This seems very systematic. It's a very systematic way of being a troll.
Well, I'm autistic, so I tend to be a logistic genius. It's not so much that I figured out OBS. I just beat my head into that fucking wall until it finally let my skull seep through the pores. Like, I didn't break it. That thing is still a goddamn mystery to me. It is so powerful. There's all kinds of stuff that I just cannot do with it.
Right.
I don't know how. It doesn't work when I set it up the way I think it should work. It doesn't work. So I skip it.
There's so much going on. There's so many possibilities and capabilities. It's a wonderful program, but my God, like without a college course on it, like you're never going to master it.
Master it? No, but like, you know how it is. You do that 10,000 hours of things you love and you become better and better and better. I don't love OBS. I could give less of a shit about that. But if I can figure out a way to do something that you want to do, I can maybe tell you how to do it.
Right.
If you have this thing, well, I just want this. Sometimes I'll use edits to make it happen. Sometimes I'll use OBS to make it happen. I'll use a mix of the two. Whatever it is, dude. Ask anybody. I collaborate very easily. I have a Rumble. I still haven't actually done anything with it. And I would really like to have some information over there because I think it would be an excellent place to archive my actual live streams.
Well, yeah, and there's also tons of people that, again, like I said, everybody on YouTube that is from our persuasion, so to speak, is it's a dwindling number because I think, like I said earlier about tattoo artists, you don't want to pay people that hate you. So why use a platform that's ran by people that hate you? You want to be over there with, whether or not Rumble is ran by people that are like on our side or whatever, it is irrelevant because they're not going to delete us, and that's where we should be doing our business. I feel like that's
I'm not disagreeing with you. The issue I came up with is when I established my channel, I did it with the intention of reading Westerns. I got a crappy mic and it just would not let me do it. I could not get recordings to actually work properly. They always sounded really, really grungy and trashy and shit. And I just didn't like it. So I ended up doing live streams. Mandatory carry is part of the reason why I have a face reveal at all. I was originally just going to be this guy. Where's my thing? Hold on. I got one here somewhere. I was just going to be an avatar, Nope, it's not there. It's over here. Brand. Is this
See,
the
like
one?
I know what you're going through right now, and
Yeah. No, you don't, because
I think just like the
crap.
looking for things and trying to make it happen. Like, yeah,
That thing, right? I love this picture. I found it on Google, and it's actually colored in its original format.
Mhm.
And I reversed it, put the wanted Caucasian Sasquatch on it, and I like it because once we take all the color out of it, it looks like a cross between the DB Cooper picture and the Unabomber. Somewhere in the
Uncle
middle. This is another one of those things that made me giggle maniacally when I was making it. And that's how I know what it will do well. But YouTube is so controlled, man. Like, you have to do something like way above and beyond the curve for it to have any effect on your channel, or you have to be brilliant. One thing, and this is for every creator out there that doesn't know this, all right, you've got your 28-day cycle, right? YouTube is all about this 3-weekly cycle, 28 or 4 weeks, 28 days, right? It's all about this cycle. Every day you're supposed to have more content, more viewers, more views, more. No, fuck that. That is the machine killing you. Do not follow that program until you're ready. When you're starting your channel, when you're trying to develop these things and you're wondering where it's going to go, take the time to pick things that you care about, that you want to do. There's no point in going and filming a documentary on cicadas if what you really want to do is film thrash metal bands.
right.
If you're a wrench head, you're out there working on motorcycles all the time, why are you over here filming wood chopping? Now, I get the same thing from people because I have an aquaponic system, and I have a 69 El Camino, and I have an Xterra, and I do other stuff. And everybody's like, well, why don't you put that on your channel? Well, I kind of got a thing going here. And, just like Mandatory Carry, he has this one-dimensional channel. He has one purpose for it. He wants to change the Second Amendment. Now, first of all, much respect for the sticking to it. Because if I could have physically gotten my hands on him a year ago, I would have physically beaten him with a chair leg to make him put up a real short. I would have held him down and waterboarded his ass until he agreed to do actual content. And then I realized my man's living in his shed with his manifesto, and he's good. It's not my concern.
Yeah.
And then I come across somebody like Captain Curmudgeon. He's been doing this for 2.5 years, 87 subscribers at the time I find him. Actually, I don't think he had that many. But by the time he actually blew up, he had 80 some odd subscribers. And I go to him and I tell him, I want you to do something you love to do. I want you to make yourself uncomfortable doing it. And then I want you to film it, the whole process, and then edit out the parts that aren't a part of the actual product. And if you'll do one, I'll do one. You do a parody song, I'll do a parody song. And I waited a couple of weeks and nothing happened. So I uploaded the Alex Jones Squirrel Revival parody. He responded by doing 5 in a week. One went up, got 300 views. Second most viewed video on his channel. The second one went up, got 150 views in an hour. 10,000 over the next few days. 190,000 the last time I checked. He went from 86 subscribers to more subscribers than I got. I haven't checked in the past 24 hours. I used to use this man's monologues for every Sasquatch Shills startup because he has a brilliant sense of humor. He's like what would happen if Bill Burr and late 80s Dillis Miller had an angry love child. Now, I know you can't imagine it, but go check him out. You'll get it. Captain Curmudgeon, get off my lawn.
I can't imagine it though, and that's why it's funny. It's such a it's weird.
He's so angry and at the same time so lovable. He's so cuddly. He's like a grown Care Bear.
The anger thing is like is it's a huge like I love the angry comics and angry comedians and or anything that's like hyperbolic and angry just totally wins me over from the jump. I try like it it makes me cry laughing sometimes when people are just pissed off about anything, but legitimately pissed off. And not something that you've done or something, not something I've done, but they're just legitimately pissed off about something. It really it tickles my funny bone. I don't know why. I think that's like probably a psychological issue that I've
I know.
addressed.
Humor. You remember me saying humor is an involuntary response?
Yeah.
You can control your laughter to a point, but after something has really, like, you ever been in church and had that thought that got you to giggling, and all you could do was like ball up on the pew and or maybe in synagogue, and you just put your face in the book and pretend like you're doing the thing or whatever, right?
Bite your cheek on the inside as hard as you can.
Let me tell you the most horrendous thing I've ever had to do. This harmed my soul in a way that I cannot fucking describe. All right, so a couple of weeks ago, I buried a really good friend, like a lifelong friend of mine. Best buds since grade school type situation. And he called me up a few months before he died, and he's like, I got some news. And he never told me what the news was, but I don't pry, right? Turns out he had stage 4 cancer, and he was living a limited amount of time. He knew it, and he didn't tell me. But the fact that he had called me kind of told me something serious was up. But it's not my place to ask, right? If I was going to ask, he wouldn't have called me. Mm-hmm. But he made me promise that I would go by and talk to his parents when he died. Now, this sounds strange, like a definite red flag, but the phone call itself was a red flag. He then, and I found out later after he died that this is the day he did this. He got off the phone with me. He might have made a couple of more phone calls, but he then ended the contract on that phone, bought a new phone, moved 5 blocks in the town he lives in to another apartment, took his wife and kid and everything with him, and left his mailing address at his parents' house over there. And I spent 2 months trying to go find him and shit, and talk to him, because that was a really weird conversation, and I really wanted to like have it out person to person. Couldn't find him. No one would tell me where he was at. So he dies. The weirdest part, I mean, there's a bunch of weird things. I had finally had it. I had it. I'm going to go find him. I get in my Xterra. I drive out there to that tiny little freaking town. And I go and knock on her parents' door. And his dad looks at me and goes, "I told you, Sasquatch would be here first." And he walks in and sits down. And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Apparently, he had died that night. And I had showed up, like, having put my foot down, I want to talk to him. Walked in to them arranging his funeral. And I can't help the humor that I have. So I did what he had asked me to do. I sat there through the whole planning, through the whole funeral, the procession, the wake, the whole 9 yards, all of it, viewings, everything, and made them laugh. And watching an entire family plan their child's funeral while they laugh maniacally, to watch a son laugh, to watch a sister, to watch a father, a mother, all laugh while they bury their family member, while they're planning this, and then to go through with the whole thing. And it pulled shit out of my soul that I didn't know I had. Like, when I was done, when it was finished, I slept for almost 2 days, dude. It was a really weird exhaustion that I've never experienced before.
Yeah.
That's wild. And they thanked me for it.
That's incredible. I mean, it's to be able to, first of all, just to be able to do that in such a.
He asked me, this is what he said. He said, "When I die, I want you to go to my parents' house. I want you to sit right there until it's done, and you just be yourself.
Yeah.
You won't be able to help it. Just do it." Yes, sir. All right.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I don't know though, dude. I mean, it made me feel ways that Sasquatch don't feel. I don't do the emotional thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm not the kind of person who cries at a funeral. I didn't cry at my mama's funeral. I stood next to the casket the whole freaking time telling jokes and laughing about things. Everybody walk up, because if you want a somber, stoic individual, you go to my father. If you want somebody who's fully supported, you go to my brother. If you want somebody who's going to tell you something funny that's actually true, you come to me. And if you want help, you go to my sister.
Yeah, and when you're able to, not being an emotional person, kind of like that myself, like when you tap it, when you experience such a thing, and it takes a lot out of you. Like you said, it takes a lot out of your soul. It takes things away from you that you didn't know you had reservoirs of. It's kind of the opposite of what Dave Chappelle says about parenthood. It's like it expands your capacity for love when you have a kid, and it's like,
so does polyamory.
Maybe in a different way, touche. But like on the opposite side, like when you reach into those reservoirs you didn't know that you had, like on the emotional side, or the maybe the negative side of the emotions and stuff, it takes a lot out of you. It's
apparently,
yeah.
I mean, you got to do what you got to do, man.
Yeah.
And when you make a promise, and this goes and I know that I'm going all the way around my asshole to get my elbow on this one, but it goes back on a political level to standing up for what you believe in, doing what you say you're going to do, and following through on the things that need to be done before you go off and get that gratification that everybody's after.
Right.
We got about another 10 minutes on this whole After Dark thing. I do a after Dark where I put on either, I don't know, we sit around bullshit, or you can go eat, or whatever it is. I know you done stayed later than you intended.
Yeah, I was going to say, so speaking of things you say you're going to do, I should probably, she's probably
have at it, man. Anytime you want to dip out, you dip out. Don't you can't offend a Sasquatch. We don't have emotions.
Fair enough. I'll probably go ahead and take my leave, though. I really appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate all your viewers.
Come back.
Absolutely. Just the
collaborations. I don't care where you put it. Make me famous. I don't care.
Same.
Threaten me with a good time.
Right, exactly. All right, brother. I appreciate everything, man. Thank you.
Much love. Absolutely. Yep. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. I don't know how to. Sorry.
I can drop you down. I got you. All right. Figure it out. Eventually you'll find the leave button. I'm sure it's over there somewhere. All right. So that's kind of all I really got. If I do have a couple of things I'm working on though, and I'll let you see some of this. Check this out. You see the chair? There's a chair here, right? But if I turn the light up enough, the whole chair disappears, right? So I've been playing with this idea for a minute. Oh. Right. Y'all see this, right? Peekaboo. Peekaboo. Let's see if Grim is here. If Grim will talk to me, I'll stick around. Grim, are you still sleeping? Grim, wake up. He doesn't realize you don't have to be here for this to work. He's still old school. That's actually I got a turtleneck. I got the idea from Wandering Hippie. I got me a long sleeve one, a turtleneck, and I've got some ideas to play with, right? I also got this as soon as I get my sound figured out on the whole. Wait, you can't tell what that is. I got a green screen eye patch, to do the whole Odin's eye thing. Yeah. Anyway, I got some ideas, and oh, cool, bud. Dude, the link's over there. If you want to hop up, we can go backstage and talk about whatever you like. I don't really give a shit. I'm gonna sit here and drink about half this pint. And I might spend a few minutes talking to the smoking auditor over here who came in super fine. Look how sexy that man is. Good God.
Didn't
Dude,
even know I was on live stream yet.
I did that on purpose because they don't know how pretty you are.
They can go look at my latest short and give me a few more extra views on it. That thing's over 10,000 views.
I know, dude. You doing working overtime over there, ain't you?
It was just a bet between me and a friend, and I was
Dude.
having fun with it.
Dude, mine on that one is still popping up views. I'm at 3.8 currently.
You should be getting to around 3,900, 3.9.
Yeah, it doesn't turn over until it hits the next 100. But I can tell you this. Over my last 3 shorts, I have almost 9,000 views.
Well, I got that in one for a change. Usually it takes me like 10 shorts to get that many views.
Right? Dude, don't get me started. I've actually worked out a little bit of backstage algorithm shit on the shorts thing. I say I don't understand it, but I have put it in 5 minutes. I'll come off of live and I'll tell you what I've been doing, but I have an absolutely fucking diabolical plan. And you
just remember, you only get 3 notifications a day, so you better do that right.
Fucking notification. No, you misunderstand the standards we're working by, bro. I'll explain it in a few minutes. Let's just skip to the next topic. How about them dogs? What is the local high school team in your town?
That'd be the Eagles. Big what? Big nut.
Hold on. Down here is my email address to support Think Happy Thoughts because I don't accept donations. CaucasianSasquatch@gmail.com. Email me. I'll collaborate. I mean, if you want some lines read, like go download a clip of how you want them read in what style, accent, or whatever. However, like if you want to do the whole like Sunday, we're having a monster truck rally over at the Peachtree Scene Arena. Like we can do that shit. We can do in a world where people are always looking for anti-communists. You know, that guy that does the movie voices. I'll say, boy, we can do a few different things. All you got to do is work around with it.
And Sasquatch will try to match the voice you would like to the best of his abilities. If not, he has about 12 to choose from. And that's just on the top of the list.
I don't know. I've got a thing for accents. I really like picking up new ones when possible. Like a lot of people don't realize. Foghorn Leghorn is an educated man and an educated chicken. The specific accent he utilizes is a Louisiana upper crust. It's I refer to it as a Tulane twang, but that's kind of a joke. It's not. It doesn't really have anything to do with Tulane. It has to do with like the elite of Louisiana and that whole thing.
Secretly, Foghorn Leghorn runs the whole state, and no one knows it from his little farm.
Right? Absolutely. I don't know, dude. That was actually, I really enjoyed that. I hope homie comes and works with us. I hope. I've got a limited amount of time I can volunteer to a given channel because I'm kind of doing a lot of different. I got a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak. Right.
You're doing like 12 different things at once. Don't lie to the people. He runs himself ragged for YouTube, and no one knows it.
Fucking wizard. No, I'm just I do different things. I didn't do YouTube to become a YouTuber. I did YouTube to talk to YouTubers. I wanted to speak to certain creators. Jeff is here audits. Truth be told, Hammerson Peters, which is I really need to go back and edit that video he sent me. Because, oh my God, dude, it's absolute. I edited out some of it. I didn't put some of it in the show for him when I did his Sasquatch Shills. I need to do that again because it's still relevant. And now I think I could get away with the stuff that I cut out.
I mean, why haven't you done it already? It's because you're already doing 12 different things with 14 other people.
No, when I started the whole Sasquatch Shills thing, I came up with 4 methods of doing a Sasquatch Shills that would, at the end of production, vaguely look the same. But with him, I got lucky. I got unbelievably lucky. He did a particular video, and I can't remember which one it was, but he had an Abstract Look do the art for it. And Abstract Look started his channel a few days before he did that particular bit. And this was his first, oops, wrong one. Yeah, that's the one. Was his first YouTube upload painting. And it is hanging right here on my wall. I went and browbeat. He sold this piece to someone who saw him do another piece on YouTube and was like, I would really like to have this piece. And he was like, I tell you what, you trade me the one I got for you. Cause I'd been just badgering the dude. You know me. This thing is beautiful. Do you see that? Look at that thing. That's gorgeous. So I was like, yeah, no, I'd like that first one. He's like, well, I got like 10 others that I can, no, I'd like that the first one you did, the fall painting. That's what I would like. How much do you want for it? I don't have it. Damn.
I'm going to have to find that 20-second video I watched of a Sasquatch painting for you the other day.
It's beautiful, dude. I love it. I love it. In fact, for the first 6 months of the channel, probably, I used him painting this picture as the background for my show. Like, instead of having the video up, I would have just him painting the picture on YouTube. That was, instead of having like your videos up while I was hosting you or whatever. No, I mean, it doesn't matter what's back there. People just want flashing lights and pretties.
Good luck posting my videos. I barely have videos. All my stuff is shorts.
There's nothing wrong with that, bro. That does not make you not a YouTuber.
It keeps me from getting famous because, like, the biggest channels
building
have millions of people asking for help, and I'd feel so bad if millions of people asked me for help because there'd be nothing I could do for them.
Oh, what's up, Lucky Laptop? That's another previous guest. Apparently, he's changed his name or started a new channel or something. So I've been doing. Wait, no, we're not there yet. I'm going to end this show, and I'll be right back with you.
Okay.
All right. Let me do these things that happen when it's.
Never mind. One last thing. Goodbye, good night, good evening, everyone from Ohio.
Sorry about that, folks. You know, shit happens. Life sucks. We deal with it. I've been drinking. This ship is sinking, and now I got to do some thinking. So we're gonna do a different exit. Let's see. I got one. I think this is the long version.
Sorry. Good news, though. We're going to have to move the party somewhere a little bit more private, but you're all invited. Lorenzo will give you the details. Yeah!
Just getting started. I know that you want it, baby. Just get on it, ready to go. We know how to party. Pull out the Bacardi, feel it in my body. Put on a show. Yeah, let's go. Nah, we ain't never gonna slow down. All the girls looking hot like a hoe down. Everybody going off in my hometown, ready for a showdown. Keep it on the low now. We about to pop off like a bottle. Everybody knows that we're going full throttle. Drinking alcohol, yeah, straight from the nozzle. End of the night, end up horizontal. know they want something more. They know they want something more. They've never heard us before. They've never heard us before. A sound that's hard to ignore. A sound that's hard to ignore. It's time to even the score. Everybody like the hate. Everybody like the hate. Rock you all and the late. Rock and roll and the late. Hella crazy. Hella crazy. Nobody like the hate. Everybody like the
What are you doing here? Why are y'all still here? There are 9 people still in chat. The show's been over for a full minute and a half. Don't y'all have lives, wives, children to go feed or something? Shouldn't y'all go get y'all's fix? Or maybe, I don't know, like go to bed.